Solitude is essential for your personal growth. I used to be in a position where I was scared of being lonely, scared of being by myself, scared of almost having to survive by myself and do things for myself, and would always crave people's validation, crave people's attention, crave people giving me that self-worth. But then the reality is I would never find that self-worth in myself. And how do you think that made me feel? You know how that made me feel. It made me feel empty. It made me feel worse. It made me feel sad. It made me feel like I wasn't good enough. And therefore, I would never truly get that fulfillment out of myself without people's validation, without people saying certain things to me, without people consistently validating my ego and validating me in my insecurities. But now it's completely different. Even though I still may get some validation from people, like off my physique and off my personality or whatever, I still have worked myself up in my self-belief and in how I feel about myself to a degree that I feel beautiful, to a degree that I feel so happy with who I've become and where I'm going. And you need to understand that people will never truly have your best interest. People will always take the piss with you. People will always kind of stroke your ego when you want it, but then also take away from you when they can't get nothing out of you. And that'll make you feel negative and sad about yourself. But the reality is you need to become happy in yourself. You need to work on yourself, and you need to take yourself up to that level where you want to be, up to that level where you want to achieve, up to that person you want to achieve, and truly work on yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to neglect a lot of things for yourself. You're going to neglect a lot of personal growth, a lot of areas that you need to develop in order for you to be the best version of yourself. And that's the exact same boat I was in. I would crave validation of people, and I wouldn't actually work on myself. I wouldn't actually work to who I wanted to be. And how do you think that made me feel? It made me feel negative, sad, upset. And the reality is you've got to work on yourself, man. You've got to work on yourself. You've got to help yourself. Because when you don't, you just feel negative and sad when you don't get the validation from these people, when you don't get the love from these people, when you don't get that consistent ego stroke from these people. And that's how I felt. And that's genuinely how I felt. And that's why I say solitude is essential, because it genuinely is. Solitude is essential for you to understand who you are, understand who you can be, understand your true potential in yourself when you have no one else giving you that love and that validation and giving you that respect, that, I don't know, that loneliness cure, if that makes sense. Like having someone there to talk to all the time. And that's what I had to learn, because I had someone there to talk to, phone to, and I genuinely liked, and then I lost that. But I've gained so much more over these past few months of working on myself. And that's the message in these videos a lot of time as well. You gain so much when you come back from something that's so negative and so sad and so hard to deal with, that it's truly beautiful when you work towards goals and you start seeing a bit of results in yourself and in your life and in all different areas. And I've seen every single area of my life go up, and it's a beautiful blessing for me to have seen that. And if I would have stayed listening to this person, if I would have stayed giving in to the same friends who didn't help me, giving in to a girl that I liked that didn't truly fulfill me, and it ended in a negative way anyway, and if I would have listened to their opinions, I wouldn't have seen this growth in myself. And if I would have still had that, I wouldn't have seen any growth in myself, because I relied on them to validate my ego and validate how I felt in myself and validate me not doing the right things. But now I can't validate that, can I? Because I'm by myself a lot of time. And when you're alone, you can't validate when you do bad things, because you know you're doing wrong, you know you're doing bad. And that's the important thing of being alone. You know you have to grow, and you know you have to do better when you're by yourself, because otherwise you feel like a fucking loser. And that's the harsh truth. I felt like a fucking loser when I give into easy habits all the time, and then give into loads of social media, Netflix, all these things. I know I preach it and I know I say it a lot of times, but it's true, isn't it? When you spend hours, say like 3 hours on social media, and then another 3 hours on Netflix, and then another fucking 4 hours on YouTube and porn and all these things, you start to negatively affect yourself. And that isn't truly what we want, is it? Like, we want ourselves to just level up and level up and level up and be the person who we've always wanted to be. Because that is what's truly beautiful. That's what's truly beautiful. For you giving in all the time to people and giving in to the validation and craving that validation of someone isn't going to truly help you. And that's the reality of this stuff. And this is coming from someone who used to crave validation of people, crave people validating my ego, crave people being around me, crave them loving me. And then when you don't get what you want back from them, you feel empty and you feel sad. And when the things fuck up, the relationships, the friendships all fuck up, you feel lonely and you feel like, oh shit, I have to work on myself now. You realize that you're kind of empty without that validation and without that love from them people. And then you have to work on yourself and you have to build up that self-love. And this is a lesson to you lot. Like, you have to build up that self-love and that foundation of good mental health and that foundation of work ethic, respect for yourself underneath that beforehand. Relationships with people and friendships with people are beautiful, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't do that. Like, of course, that's a part of life. That's a essential part of life and essential for our happiness and our gratitude in ourselves. But you have to build up that foundation underneath as well. Because when you're exposed, when people leave your life, when people show you that they don't respect you anymore, or don't love you in the same way and don't like you in the same way, you're forced to deal with yourself then. And you're forced to deal with the solitude and the sadness by yourself. And you have to build yourself up out of that and almost climb out of that rut, get out of that rut during that, in order for yourself to feel better and be happy in yourself. And that's the truth of this stuff, man. That's the truth of this stuff. So that's why solitude is essential for your growth and essential for you. And even though you might be going through hardship and pain now during this and sadness now, understand that it's an opportunity for you to build yourself up now, and it's an opportunity for you to actually truly build that self-love and that self-respect in yourself. And even if relationships with people and friendships are going good with people now, almost like I am now, I've built it back up to I've got good relationships and friendships with people. Understand that it's up to you to build up that basis underneath, and you need to build that up in order to help yourself and in order to better yourself and in order to get the full happiness out of these relationships. And if these things go wrong, you always got that to fall back on. I hope you got some value in this video, and there's going to be more content coming soon. Thank you for the love recently, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.